talk about words that define different personality types and traits. Now, how many words do you think there could be to define someone's personality?
There are I know one 3 words: introvert, extrovert, ambivert. There's
There are more, but then there's just like intro, extro, and MBO. That's a different thing, like more. Apart from that, so there are too many ways you can, describe a person. So someone's personality, someone optimist, pessimist, all of these are also personality types. So a lot of times you look at people and see, no, अरे यार ये तो होते रहता है, जब देखो रोते रहता है. What do you mean by that? Someone is a pessimist. The people will be sad कि यार 2012 में दुनिया खत्म होनी है. खत्म नहीं हुई. अरे यार दुनिया खत्म नहीं हुई. अरे decide. Are you sad दुनिया खत्म नहीं हुई? Are you sad कि दुनिया खत्म होने वाली थी? What is the issue? So there are just people who are perpetually sad. We call them pessimists. So today we are going to take a look at all different types of personality types and traits. Are we all set to go?
Yes, ma'am.
Acha. Again, copy pen should be ready. And yeah, you guys have to respond. You guys have to write, and you guys have to also do what? Answer. Okay, perfect. Wait, you want to have to call it? How do I write? Perfect. The first word we are going to have is magnanimous. Yeah, magnanimous. Now, what does the word magnanimous mean? You might have come across this word before. Now, magnanimous means someone who is very generous, someone who's compassionate. Can you give an example of magnanimous? A person who you feel is magnanimous. Now that we're talking about people. Any leader you look at and feel that this person is magnanimous.
I personally feel Ratan Tata is very generous.
Same name popped up in my head, Ratan Tata. Now, what are the synonyms? I'll just write S for synonyms and A for antonyms, okay? So it becomes easy. Now, magnanimous, what are the synonyms for this? Can you guys give me a few synonyms? Can we say chivalrous? Someone noble, someone sublime. These all become words for magnanimous. Now, what could be the antonyms for magnanimous? What would be the opposite of someone who's very generous and compassionate? Quick. Someone who's a little low as a person, someone who's
greedy.
No, that would be greedy. Greedy would not be. So, okay, now that you said greedy, what would be the antonym for greedy?
Kanjus.
But yeah, what would be the antonym for greedy? Kanjus in English, come on. The antonym for greedy can be content. Can be. What is greedy? Greedy is someone who wants more and more and more, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So someone opposite to greedy would be someone who's content.
Yes,
so like that. So यहाँ पे chivalrous का then it would be low. Someone who's a little wretched. And so on. Now, magnanimous as a word, what is it? Is it an adjective? Is it a noun? What is it?
It's an adjective, ma'am, because it describes about a personality trait.
Exactly. Adjective. Magnanimous would be an adjective. And what can be the noun form of magnanimous? Magnanimity would be the noun form of the word magnanimous. Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Acha, Ankush has been answering in the chat box. Ankush, I'm so sorry. I kind of misreading the chat box when I'm busy with this. It's always better to just unmute and tell me because I don't look at the chat box. Now, if you want to use this word in a sentence, what do we say? How do we make a sentence magnanimous?
She's very magnanimous when it comes to money.
Do we need to add the word magnanimous, very?
No, ma'am.
Because
She-
magnanimous itself will be very generous.
She is magnanimous when it comes to money.
Okay. She's magnanimous when it comes to money. Can we make a sentence that's a little more difficult? Difficult as in more rounded, I would say. We could say what sets Ratan Tata apart from a pool of leaders is his magnanimous personality.
Yes, ma'am.
So we can use that as a sentence that what sets Ratan Tata apart from a pool of leaders is his magnanimous personality. Okay, do you want me to type it out or you're fine? I think you're fine. Good. Okay, now moving to the next one. Okay, perfect. Now the next word we have is Pollyanna. The second word we have is Pollyanna. What do you think Pollyanna can mean? Any idea?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Pollyanna means someone who is too happy and optimistic. Happy or optimistic is your word Pollyanna. Now again, Pollyanna, what do you think? Is it a noun, adjective, adverb? Pollyanna is a noun. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now give me the synonyms. This is an easy word. What could be the synonyms?
And cheerful.
Cheerful, good. What else?
Cheerful, joyful, ecstatic.
Ecstatic would be more of a synonym for happy, not for a person.
Oh.
We could say bright.
Delightful.
Full person, okay, ठीक है. Okay. Can we say chirpy? See, right? Here she's a chirpy person. They just kind of light up the room when they come. Very positive. So positive can be one. What else? Okay, chat box. Utopian. Okay, utopian. Can we say that? Can utopian be your synonym for Pollyanna? Utopian is more like idealistic. So I doubt if we can, have that as a synonym. Now, what could be the antonyms for the same?
Dull.
Okay. Can we say pessimist?
Yes, ma'am.
Pessimistic. What else?
Sad.
Sad, there you go. What else? You can say despairing. Forever under despair. Okay, sad. Chalo, le lete hai sad because he's not happy and optimist. He's just sad. What else?
Sorrowful.
Sorrowful would be too much. Sad tak rehte.
Okay.
Okay, now how do you put this in a sentence? Come on, quick. U stands for usage. So S stands for synonyms, A for antonyms, U for usage. Allow me a few shortcuts, please.
She is fun to hang out with because she is an Pollyanna. No. She is. Ma'am, what's the adjective form for Pollyanna?
Fine, tell me. What's the adjective form for Pollyanna? All of you, tell me, come on, quick. What can be the adjective form for Pollyanna? Pollyannish, no. So it is a noun, and how will you use it then? Okay, let me put up a sentence for you guys. On the one hand, blanket, big visions, the problem. And on the other hand, having a Pollyanna naivety is a struggle. Okay, what does the sentence mean?
It means that always being too happy or optimistic is not at all good in some kind of tough situations.
Okay, what does the phrase, or rather the idiom here, to be a wet blanket, what does it mean? Being a wet blanket, it's an idiom. What do you mean by when someone's a wet blanket? All of you know what idioms are?
Yes, ma'am.
The others, are you aware what are idioms? If not, tell me. I can quickly enlighten you, but I need to know yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
So then what will the idiom to be a wet blanket actually mean? Someone who dampens a plan. So that kind becomes a wet blanket. A person who will always dampen your plan is like a wet blanket. Yes, lack of enthusiasm, correct. So on one hand, being a wet blanket to big visions is a problem. So you can't be someone who's like dampening the idea of a big vision. But on the other hand, having a Pollyanna naivety is a struggle. So that being too happy and optimist and being naive is also a struggle. Understood? Yes, no, not
Yes,
at all. मेरे को भी फ्राइडे हिट कर रहे फीलिंग रुक जाओ इट्स आई अंडरस्टैंड
नाइव का मतलब क्या है?
Naivety is someone who's very naive. Naive is someone who's innocent, who's bhola types. That is your naive. And naivety just becomes that trait. So someone who's naive is also like someone who does not show, someone who has a lack of judgment. बोलते ना वो भोला है बहुत सीधा है. What do you say mean by that भोला सीधा? Someone who does not have judgment of right or wrong. So every parent thinks that their kids are very naive. इसको बाहर अकेले मत भेजो, भोला बच्चा भोला बाहर क्या करता है दोस्तों को पूछो. Clear now what is naive?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
The opposite of all of you. No, kidding. Naive would be someone who's very innocent, lacks judgment, like this tiny sheep. Okay. How do we identify the meanings of idioms? Not that it's related here, but just quickly. I have a very simple trick. Literally, I think about that idiom, being a wet blanket. I literally think of a wet blanket. ठंडी में किसी ने मेरे सामने wet blanket लाके रखा तब like that feeling itself becomes that feeling. the best way to find the meanings of idioms is to visualize it.